Hello everyone, I am Sriram, a master's student at Georgia Tech, and this is a tutorial demonstrating how we use Clarity NLP bundled with general healthcare needs as part of my Intro to Health Informatics class. I will be doing the setup and examples on my Mac machine, so steps might be a little different if you're running a Windows or Unix box, but you should be able to figure out the differences based off the documentation that's been provided. Without any further ado, let's dive right in. I'm going to be going over the documentation first. Clarity NLP has a nice little documentation setup for us. Since I'm doing this on local setup, I can do it with Docker or without Docker. If you look at setup without Docker, it has all these setups which require MongoDB, Postgres, Solr, and I don't want to mess with all that, so I'm just going to install it with Docker. So we need to first download the source code. Let's go do that. It's going to take a little while. While that happens, you also need to install Docker. Now, if I click the installation instructions here, it's going to take me to this website. You can see that the Docker desktop is provided for Mac and Windows. I'm running a Mac, so I'm just going to go here, and I already have it installed locally. As you can see on the top here, this is Docker. I have Docker desktop running, so I'm good to go. But for you, if you're trying to install Docker, you just download from Docker Hub, and it's just a simple touch step process. You also need Docker Compose, which is installed as part of Docker Desktop for Mac. Now, let's see where we are with the repo. It's about done. Oh, and we're done. Let's take a look at what we downloaded. So this is inside. We're inside the repo now. Just select which branch we're on. Master. So they do advise that we have to use master for stable builds. I'm gonna I'm gonna go ahead and use that. So we download source code, we have Docker set up, we have Docker Compose set up, we just have to run the entire stack. Also, before I run the stack, I have to make sure that these settings are reflected on my Docker setup. So I'm going to go ahead, open up my Docker settings. Let's go here, click on Preferences, go to Advanced. It asks for greater than 8 gigabytes of memory, so let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to give it 8 gigabytes, should be good. I don't care about swaps, I'm just going to apply and restart. And if you see Docker Desktop is stopped, it's going to restart again with these new settings. I also need to increase the disk size, so let's go ahead and do that. Once this is set up, I can go to disk, and gotta wait until this is done starting. And there it is, it's running now. So I'm gonna make this about 256 is the recommended, so I'll just stick with that. I'm gonna click apply, it's gonna stop and restart again. Meanwhile, so now we have this setup. Docker Compose, we already have it as part of Docker Desktop installation for Mac. Now, for the first initial setup, I'm gonna wait until this is done. Should take a couple more seconds. And now we're set up. So we don't need the settings anymore. I'm gonna go ahead. If you see, this is my local folder of the entire repo that I just downloaded. We can look into more of that later, but all right, back to the setup. Now I'm gonna start the stack. So I'm gonna make sure that I'm in the right folder. So I'm in Clarity NLP, that's what I need. Now I'm gonna start start Clarity. I'm gonna start this in my local host, and then, oh, sorry, my bad. Make is a command for starting up Docker containers, and since I'm starting this in my repo of Clarity NLP, it's going to pull up, Docker's going to pull up the instance from Clarity NLP, which has the Docker Compose file as the host YAML file, and it's going to build this container based off of the YAML files that's included as part of the repo. All right, let's go back and start this, and it's starting. Let's see. Now this could take a while, so I'm going to stop this recording until this is done, and then we can go back once the setup is done. So please stay tuned. Alright, so we're going to start the container again. Oh, nope, we're in the wrong directory, so let's go back to the directory. Make sure I'm on the right branch. Yes, just do. Now we start the Clarity server. Sorry. Now I already ran this one time, so it's not going to take too long for it to just pull up the previous instances. It should be done within a couple. Oh, it's almost it's done. That's nice. It's not gonna take too. It's only the first run takes a while for it to get set up, and because it has to download all the dependencies. Sorry about that. Almost done. And we are done. So just to cross check, I'm gonna open another terminal and just run docker ps. That's gonna show me all the containers that are running in my existing Docker container. And you can see that there's all these ingest API, the NLP API, and then there's the ingest client running, and you have the MongoDB identity provider, the dashboard, Postgres server, Mongo server, and then the SOLR instance as well. Overall, there's you can see that all of them are created and they've been up and they've been assigned ports. So there should be 15 of these. So if you count them, there are 15. And according to the documentation, that's about it. So now we're good to go. Now I'm going to go open up a new window, navigate to the Clarity dashboard, just have a quick overview of how it looks, and just go through a walkthrough. I'm going to log in using my admin credentials, and there it is. Now here, this is the main dashboard. You can see all the document sets that have been assigned or created here. These are all the queries that we created, and if once you start running them, you can see the results here. And since we're not running any, we don't see any results. So if you go to documents, this is where you add documents, and start ingesting some of these with the document sources and these IDs and all that. We can also build our own query. We're going to go look into that a bit after. And then we have the results tab where we see all the results of all the queries that we run. Do note that the documents, the queries, and the results are all displayed on the front part of the dashboard. And you can click on this expand tab just to expand it. These are all the queries that we have currently. I've been playing around with some of the stuff, so that's why you see some very random names. And you can see the results. There, we haven't run any queries yet, so you don't see anything. Then these are the document sets. Look, cute pie chart, which has all the data sets and all that. Now, we're going to dive right into creating a query. Now, creating query, you can either do it via the backend or command line, or we can do it using this query builder that Clarity NLP has for us. So I'm going to call this, let's see, I'm just going to recreate whatever the query is given as an example here. So what that's called nursing notes. So let's go ahead and call that Well, I'm going to call this temperature extract air query. Alright, and you have to assign a version number for this. We're just going to call this version 1. And I'm going to start building a query. If you note, this is the name of the phenotype that we were using. And it's using, since it's version 1, this is the libraries that's going to be using. Now, what this query is going to do is it's going to extract the temperatures of the patients from the nursing notes of the report, of the health report. So that's what this query is going to do. So I'm just going to go and just walk through this as it is right now, and we can just do a demo using the query builder. Now, if you observe, we're going to add a document set. I'm going to call this, okay, 1 second here. Oh, let's just take a picture of this so that we can see. I'm going to call this nursing notes. Nurse report tag is going to be nurse. Add that document set, and then you have that document set added here. It's going to create a report tag list, and it's going to pull all the comments from the nursing notes stock data set. And then we're going to add some term sets where we pull in the temperature temperature values. Terms is it can either be temp, it can be called temperature, or it can also be called just T. Right? And we're not case sensitive, so it doesn't really matter. We'll just do this. Yeah, doesn't really matter. You can do T, whatever. That's added. You can see the term set that's been added here. That's good. Now this is just a query builder which means that we're currently still in the process of building it. As you can see, we have the document set added, we have the term sets added. Now we're going to add a feature. Feature is a phenotype feature, which means that it's going to build results that we can extract, or something that we want to extract from the query, like the result that you want. So I'm going to call this temperature, and I'm going to do a value extraction algorithm. You see there are a lot of algorithms that are present in this tool, but for now we can just focus on value extraction. The term set that we use is temperature terms that we created here. Document set belongs to nursing notes because that's what it belongs to. And then we don't need this or this. I'm just going to set the minimum value is 96, and then maximum value is 106. And I don't need to include that. And then if you add that feature, you see it's added right here. Right now, we're going to add a final result, which means I'm going to call this whether someone has a fever or not. It's like a variable that we can add. Now we have that feature that's added. And the condition is if the temperature's value is greater than, I'm going to add it to the logic, is greater than or equal to 100 point, what is it, 4? Yes, 100.4. And this we need to include in the final result. So we're going to add this result, and if you see that, we added this little block here. Now, this is our query. I'm just going to go ahead and save it. We have that query saved, and that's it. We just built our first query. Now, I'm just going to go and run this, and when you run it, it should say it's going to ask you for a limit, as in it's going to ask you how many results you want. It's going to take a while, so I'm just going to stick with 10 results for now. And then you can, or to make it easier, we'll just call it 5. Click run, and if your syntax is right, it's going to say your NLPQL is valid, which means we did a good job. Now, this is just a sample JSON response. Now let's go to results. You can either add a new query again, or just go to sample results, or go to the results. or just X out it and go to it yourself. So let's go click on results, and you see that it's completed. Oh, sorry, this is, oh yeah, this is what we did. Oh, it's not completed yet. Okay, let's see. Oh, looks like we did something wrong. Let's go back and, oh, maybe 5 was a short. I'm just gonna copy this again so we can run it again. And go ahead and delete this. Delete this job. Query builder. Let's go and see if we have the query added here. This is the query that we created right now. So I'm just gonna go ahead and edit this, then run this. Now I'm just gonna, I'm not gonna give a limit to this. So if I click run, it should say it's valid. Now let's go and see results, and now it's started. Okay. So now we just started our temperature extractor query, and if you see, it hasn't gotten anything yet because it's still running. Now, I want to show you something else that's part of Clarity NLP, which is called Luigi. And Luigi is a task monitoring service that's provided to us. And if you see here, it's accessible via this little link. I'm just going to open that up. If you see that you have the job that's running. This job is currently running, right? So now we can see that there's 44 pending tasks, and these are all running. These are done. And if you keep refreshing them, you can kind of play around with this. See the failed tasks, see how many are running, see how many are done, see how many are still pending, and just see if you keep refreshing, you can see the number keeps going down. See, it looks like something failed here. That's okay. It's just going to keep on going. That's a example of running a query through Clarity NLP and via the query builder accessible to us. Now, I'm going to go ahead and stop this because I don't want to, well, we can let it run for a few minutes and see there's at least one result. Validate features. Oh, there it is. We got one patient, which is good enough for us. And if you see, you've got the nurse notes, physical examination vital signs. His Tmax is 98.8. You have all the details of the patient, of the nurse notes that have been assigned here. And then you have the X dimension is 98.8, which is the temperature, which is what we added as part of our query. And this is all the results, other notes and temperature notes. This is all the other needed data that we might need for other processing information. And it's going to keep on running. So if I keep refreshing this, let's go and refresh this. I see another data. I see 2 more patients that have been populated. So it's going to keep running for a while. But I'm going to go ahead and stop this because I want to show you something else. I want to do a phenotype example that's been mentioned in our documentation, which I forgot to mention. You can access the documentation via this little tab here. I'm just going to open this in a new tab, and there it is. That's the entire documentation that we need. So I'm going to go ahead and go to user guide. Let's look at let's run a basic phenotype example. This seems nice. So we're looking at certain symptoms of congestive heart failure likely to be found only in clinical notes. We're looking for orthopnea and paroxysmal nocturnal dyspnea. Sorry, I'm having a hard time pronouncing words these days. Now, I'm going to go back. This is our query that's been given to us. Now, if you note from what we covered before, this is the phenotype name, this is the library that we have, and this is the term set that we mentioned. And orthopnea, PND, these are the term sets, which means that's what we search for. These are search strings as part of the nurse notes. And what this is doing is it's just a terms finder, meaning it's just going to find and pull that data or pull that entire context. So as it's mentioned here, it simply takes in that list of terms and just finds it all. Now, go ahead, start that query. Let's see, how many did we pull? It's still running, so it's not done yet. We have 4, so that should be good enough. So I'm just going to go ahead and stop this. We can stop this job. It's going to take a while. Now we can see that's killed. And this is Luigi. We can just refresh this. It should, I'm just going to delete this so that way we get that out of the way. That's going to get deleted. I'm just going to close this because we don't need that for now. And there it is. Okay, now we go to another query builder. What do we call this? I'm going to call this query using finding version number is 1, as is. We'll build a query. Now, before we went ahead and filled it out like this. Now we can also write out the query here by clicking on the Edit tab. We can just start typing out whatever we need. So I'm going to try to type something. Just type in maybe the term set. Term set. Oops. You know what? We can type this. I don't want to mess up any formatting issues. So I'm just going to go ahead, add a term set. We don't need a document set for this. I'm just going to add our search terms are oops, get that right. Add that term set, should be showing it right here, and then add a feature. I'm gonna call that has yeah, and I'm gonna use a term finder, which means I'm basically going in to all the records. I'm gonna search for all the terms and just pull the records which has these specified term sets that I defined here. I'm just gonna pull that record here. So, term finder, yes, term set, Adopnia, we don't need the document set or this, and that's it. Just gonna go add this feature. We don't need, doesn't really matter. Just gonna add that feature, and if you see, this is our query that we just built. If you go ahead and look at the documentation, this is the exact same query. It also has this limit 100, which we can add, as you've seen above before. We can. I'm just going to save this first. I won't lose that. If I click on Run, it's going to validate. I'm going to say 100 because that's what it was mentioned here. 100 results. I'm going to go ahead and click on Run. Just run this, and there it is. Your NLP QL is valid because it's running. As in everything else is good. Let's go and see results. It's in progress. And that's it. We just ran one of the examples that's been given to us in the documentation. Because this is a NLP phenotype query, that's what we use. There are also multiple examples that we can run. I just chose one of this one because it was just the first one that popped in. Now let's go and take a look at this. Just refresh this page, see what's happening. It's still in progress. I'm just going to go and click on it, see if we have any features yet. Oh, there it is. So it looks like we pulled several patients. So, oh, that's a lot of patients. So we just pulled, let's look at the first patient. The patient presented with clinical symptoms of dyspnea, leg swelling, and orthopnea several months after dual-chambered pacemaker was placed for third-degree heart block. And this is our search term. And these are all the details that we need. So it just pulled all the records that it has and all the details about that particular patient ID, because that's what we had at the query, right? We didn't need to worry about anything else. We just needed to pull the patient record, and that's what we did here. That's what it is for all the other records that we have. We can take a look at the Luigi task manager to see how it's going. It looks like 11 failed tasks, 25 are done, which means we have 25 patients, and then there are 18 left. So, let's see, it's going to keep on crashing. Let's just refresh the couple times. Yeah, it's going to keep on running. But that's about it. It's the dashboard, and you can see the queries that we created right now. They're right here, the version 1, and then you see the results that's been going on right here. So it's a really good tool, which is going to help us, for NLP processing in healthcare. Yes, and thank you.